Yes, Prabhu. So this is a very nostalgic moment for all of us. Finally, after a year-long journey, so we are live on Facebook also in a minute. Yes, Prabhu. So it's a very nostalgic moment for me and for all of us. I think on this Gita for You podcast, uh, a year-long journey trying to understand and explore the meanings of the Gita through the commentaries of the Acharyas, through the questions and concerns of the modern day generation, modern day society. So it has been a very uh, fruitful journey. It has been a very um, enlightening journey for me, and I'm sure for many of us who have been part of this entire experience. So, very grateful to each and every one who has been part of this journey, either for the complete journey, which is at least I can vouch for myself, or half of the journey, which I would say Jai Kishan Prabhu or Surya Prabhu or Gopinath Prabhu, or one fourth of the journey, or maybe even just one episode or half an episode. If someone has been part of the Gita for You, we are grateful to each and every one of you for joining us and making it a very lively experience, making it a very uh, interactive experience. And now, as we are progressing into the last episode, hmm, so we have a very special situation where all three of my hosts of this Gita for You podcast are there on the screen, and so I'm wondering uh, who will ask questions and who will answer the questions, because I see at least I find comfortable asking questions, and all three of you can answer today. We can have a role reversal.
Prabhu, already have my questions planned for you, so you're too late to escape now.
Anyhow, so then I will have to pray to the Lord. ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। नमो ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देश तारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद, श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्णा हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। Yes, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Prabhu, I'll take the opportunity to fire my first question at you. Uh,
Yeah, the
uh,
first over is being bowled by the lanky fast bowler Jai Kishan Prabhu.
Prabhu, I'll try my best to make it fierce and fast. So,
Okay.
Prabhu, we live in an age dominated by social media, where all these sorts of new terminologies are doing the rounds, be it influencers, finfluencers, travel influencers, bloggers, etc. So, and even most of the youngsters today are choosing this as a uh, proper career path where they want to make money out of it and they want to attain their own set of goals and have their own set of aspirations out of it. What is the Gita's advice on choosing a profession or a career for oneself? Is it okay for one to choose a career based on money and profession and not feel guilty about it? I mean, is it okay to choose a profession based on money and fame?
Okay. Uh, so choosing a profession based on just the rewards that you get out of it, which is the money you get, the fame you derive out of it, um, the side benefits, etc. So, what should be the factors which help us zoom in on our profession? So, if I understand, this is the essence of the question.
Yes.
Yeah. Um, yeah, like in our times, it's quite amusing that times have changed. In our times, you had, you know, three career choices: a doctor, an engineer, or a failure. So I chose to become an engineer, but I still found myself to be a failure. But then I found a different career path. Yeah. So yes, now when the youth is boasting of newfound professions and career paths unheard of in the past. And yeah, it's welcome, definitely, that there are newer career paths and professions opening up. But the question remains is that what are how do you choose a career path? Is it just based on what, how much money it fetches you, hmm, or what is the trend in the society? Yeah, being a vlogger, blogger, or Insta star, influencer. These are trends. So just because someone is trending, do I choose that profession because that person is trending? So you don't go and get your shoes taking the measurement of your neighbor or your friend, right? You have to fit it. Your shoes have to fit to your feet. So how do we ensure that our career fits our personality? So this is a very important discussion, and Krishna has very, like you can say, very beautifully given an insight into how one should go about choosing profession and what this profession is all about. Are you geared up to know?
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay, it could change your career choices. Be wary. Yeah, are you ready for it?
Deepavali.
Hari
Yes,
bol.
Prabhu.
Yes, bro.
Okay, so Krishna is the original career counselor. Hmm. And what he's doing for Arjuna is career counseling. Arjuna said, better for me to go to the forest and become a beggar, become a sannyasi, than be a Kshatriya and fight it out. And Krishna and the entire Bhagavad Gita was a career counseling session. That Arjuna, just because the the profession of Kshatriya seems to be more demanding or emotionally draining for you, and just because career of a sannyasi seems to be socially very respectable, trending, doesn't mean that you are supposed to choose it. Mhm. So Krishna actually in the 18th chapter gives a summary of the entire Gita. So whatever Krishna has spoken, especially from this verse 40th onwards, 18.40 to 18.72, Krishna is giving mm, a rapid fire summary of the entire Gita, a conclusion of the Gita. As you know, if Krishna had to, if it had to be repackaged, it would be Bhagavad Gita for Instagram as an Insta story. Full 18 chapters. If you find it too difficult to digest, then Krishna just spoke in 32 verses. And even if those 32 verses are difficult to digest, then you have an Insta reel, which is Sarva Dharman Parityajya Mam Ekam Sharanam Vraja. वो 30 seconds में भी 10 seconds में हो जाएगा, like that. Yeah, but it will take a lifetime or lifetimes to understand and apply. That's another thing. So given that this section from verse 40 to 72 is the conclusion of the Gita, which means that the questions which Arjuna had come to Krishna with will be answered in this particular section. You are going to get answers, in fact, concise, specific, very, very incisive answers you're going to get. So even if you are um, like overwhelmed with the mm, with the detours and the different meandering of the philosophy throughout the other 18 chapters, these last 32 verses, they are directly answering the question and bringing Arjuna to the point. Yes. So Arjuna began with what is his duty? What is he supposed to do? Occupational duty. His occupational duty is as a Kshatriya. He said, I am not ready to do it. I am not willing to do it. Better I go to the forest. He wanted a career switch, right? And now Krishna is talking of 4 careers. Krishna is telling Varna, Ashram, Dharma mein Varna is career. And 40th verse onwards, Krishna is telling Arjuna, by the way, there are 4 career streams. So let's see. Let's read the verse 18.41. मजा आ रहा है कि नहीं भाई लोग?
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay. So the 41st verse says, Brahmana, Kshatriya, Visham, Shudranam, cha Parantapa, Karmani, Praviviktani, Swabhava, Prabhaver, Gune. So he says there are 4 career paths: Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, and Karmani, Pravibhaktani, Swabhave, Prabhaver, Gune. And their activities are delineated as per how did Krishna come up with this categorization, this classification based on swabhavair, pravibhiktair gune, based on personality traits, swabhav, nature, and guna, the modes one is influenced by. So one's inherent nature determines the particular varna or career path or profession one will fit in hand in glove, right? And okay, then so that's the first principle. Your career should be compatible with your nature. Your career should be compatible with your inclination and ability. Yeah. So that is the first thing. So Krishna is saying, Swabhaver Gune. Do you have the quality? Do you have the aptitude and the attitude for that particular profession? If you have the aptitude and the attitude both, you are suitable, right? So that is the first thing. Second thing is, when you look at all of these 4 career paths, which is Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, actually there is a lot of baggage which these words carry for the modern day society, and they are many times misunderstood and misjudged. So let's break it down. What these, like what do these scriptures mean by Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra minus the baggage which has been kind of cropped over all of these terminologies. So these are basically four very important functions in the society. So if I tell you a teacher, is a teacher's role uh, important for a society? Yeah, it's indispensable, right? Then an administrator is also a very important function. Therefore, you have so many MBA and IAS colleges, right? IAS preparation colleges all there. Okay, administrator is also important. Then next is a trader, a merchant or a trader, right? They are also important. Who basically, so I'll go into the details of it. So all of these three which we talked about, they are important functions in the society. Then the fourth is artisans. Artisans are those who are skilled in a particular trade, in a particular, who are skilled laborers, right? Who have a particular art form which they can do nicely. So looking at it, it's I give it the acronym TATA. Teachers or thinkers you can call, administrators, traders, and artisans. Yeah. So all of these four, when I talk of speak of these, you don't find any uh, any social evil connected to them. No, these are just natural functions in the society, right? A teacher is not bad, but when I say a brahmana, oh, how dare you divide the society into brahmana, kshatriya, vaishya, shudra? How dare you call someone a shudra? No, artisan. Oh yeah, yeah, artisan. The handicrafts and all, they are wonderful. So yeah, there over a period of time, a lot of baggage comes along with things, right? अभी जैसे different things का मीनिंग कुछ बदल ही जाता है. जैसे किसी एक बच्चे से मैंने पूछा कि अरे कभी यमुना गए हो, तो बोले हाँ यमुना एक्सप्रेस वे से गए हम. So Yamuna Expressway is the highway, right? Whatever 8-lane highway, but it is named on the name of Yamuna, the river Yamuna. But people don't know the river Yamuna; they know the Yamuna Expressway. So that's how terminologies get perverted. But nonetheless, all of these very interestingly, this is a very interesting thing. I want all of you to pay your attention to. All of these three different occupations, hmm, they are there to solve a problem or address a need of the society. So this is the principle number 2, that the profession or career you choose should be able to solve a problem of the society or address a need of the society. The way Krishna has divided these occupations is, it's not just whimsical कि भाई कुछ भी बना दिया है. What are the problems in the society and what is the need of the society, and to map those, if you are able to map the problems and needs with a particular career, that career is going to fly, that career will be in demand, right? So let's see what is the problem a brahmana or a teacher or a thinker solves. He solves the problem of ignorance, or lack of knowledge in any field, right? Knowledge of alphabets, ABCD, that's also a teacher. Knowledge of mathematics, 2 plus 2 is equal to 4, that's also a teacher, right? So and then advanced knowledge of astrophysics, knowledge of quantum physics, knowledge of biochemistry, that's also knowledge. Then knowledge of psychology, that's also knowledge, right? In absence of knowledge, there are many confusions, right? There is illiteracy, right? So therefore, anyone who solves this problem of ignorance is definitely will remain in demand in the market, right? So therefore, uh, the teacher solves the problem of ignorance at any level. Hmm. And then there is problem of lack of spiritual knowledge, and therefore you have spiritual teachers. All throughout thousands of histories of mankind, you always had spiritual teachers, which means this is a bona fide need of the society. You can't do away with it. Yes. Okay. So the problem in the society is ignorance. The need of the society is learning. So therefore, you need to have teachers and thinkers, right? Next, data. Teachers के बाद administrators. The problem in the society is injustice. There is exploitation, there is injustice, and there is abuse. There is chaos. There is anarchy. Aren't these problems which the society wants to be solved? Yes, we have Rishabh joining us. So Rishabh is a lawyer. So a lawyer can attest that uh, that problems of anarchy, problems of abuse, exploitation, injustice, these are very grievous problems. And anyone who comes forth to solve these problems will never go hungry, will always, because the mindset is, I want to solve a problem. And if you solve a problem, you will get paid for it, right? So the problem is of injustice, and the need of the society is law and order. So the problem is injustice, the need is law and order. So therefore, there you need to have administrators. Now, administrator is a vast umbrella where you can have the executive, the legislative, the and all other forms of the IAS and everything falls under that. And even MBA is basically anyone who can manage and organize and create order. That person is definitely needed in the society. Okay, then comes the third, which is traders. Now, why do I call it as traders? Uh, Basically, we are calling Vaishyas as traders. And what does Krishna say? Krishi Goraksha Vanijyam Vaishya Karma Swabhavaja. So someone who is doing Krishi, which means agriculture, Goraksha, cow protection, and Vanijya means trading. Now, if you, so why am I putting all of that in the bucket of traders? For that, you will have to go into because we have an expert on economics. So Gopinath, so I'll think twice before I speak, but still. But the economic system, the economic organization now is based on currency. But in the previous times, which is the vast history of mankind, it was more based on barter, yeah, which is exchange of goods and services. And even currency is just a way of exchange. Ultimately, what currency does is you exchange goods and services. You take goods from you pay something, you pay money to someone to purchase goods, right? That's basically an exchange, and then you get that money, and and that person gets that money, and take some other good which he needs. Ultimately, there's a exchange of goods or services which takes place through this entire exchange of currency. So essentially, it is all about barter or trading. Yeah, i I add some resource to your life, you give some resource to me. Yeah, because To live in this world, we need resources. Hmm? And resources of food, shelter, clothing, basic needs to luxuries, right? These are all resources, whether it is FMCG sector or whether it is cosmetic industry, or these are all resources. And then, so when you need resources and someone provides you those resources, they are traders. Yeah. So the farmer is also providing you the most important resource, the food to eat. And um, say someone like a goldsmith, he's also providing you a resource which is more in the category of luxury, having a golden necklace, but still it's a resource. So anyone who provides you a resource to live comfortably and luxuriously in this world is basically solving the problem of insufficiency. So there is a problem of lack of resources. I need certain things, certain commodities to live peacefully, happily, and anyone who provides me those commodities is fighting against insufficiency, right? And solving the problem of insufficiency, and so, addressing the need of livelihood of the society, right? So these are the traders are the ones who solve the problem of insufficiency and address the need of livelihood, mm, for making a living. So then comes the artisans. The artisans, they they also solve a very important problem of the society, which is indolence, which is laziness. Certain things, means it is easy to say, like for a teacher to teach a student, or a thinker to philosophize that things should be like this, right? But then who is going to actually do it? You need someone who can execute, right? But if the vast majority of the society is just having armchair philosophers, mm, oh, things should be like this. There should be cleanliness in the society. There should be order in the society. Everything. But then someone on ground who works at the grassroots levels, yeah. So that person is solving the problem of indolence and addressing the need of for labor, mm, right? So you see, each of these professions, they are designed to solve a problem of the society and address a need of the society. The thinkers or the teachers, they solve the problem of ignorance, address the need of learning. Administrators solve the problem of injustice, address the need of law and order. Traders solve the problem of insufficiency, address the need of livelihood. And artisans solve the problem of indolence and address the need of labor. Yes. So the principle number one, which we saw, is that the profession you choose should be compatible with your attitude and aptitude. Principle number two is the profession you choose should solve a problem of the society and address a need of the society. Yes. And when you choose a profession based on your attitude and aptitude and the society's problem and need, then what happens? It's a perfect fit, hmm, where essentially you are using your best skills to solve an important problem for the world outside you. And the society reciprocates with you for your contribution, right? So that's the idea of choosing your profession. And if you look at it, Krishna has given characteristics or qualities of each of these, who can be a teacher or a brahmana, who can be a kshatriya or an administrator. So verse 1842 onwards, he is giving the list of qualities. For a teacher or a brahmana, the qualities are peacefulness, self control, austerity, purity, tolerance, honesty. These are all attitudes. Hmm? A person who has these kind of attitudes of tolerance, of honesty, of purity, that person is the right person to be a teacher. Then what is the aptitude? The person should have knowledge, should have wisdom, right? If you don't have knowledge, if you don't have wisdom, what are you going to teach? So attitude and aptitude both combined together, you become the perfect fit for that profession. Similarly, for the administrator or the Kshatriya, heroism is an attitude. To be heroic, to be courageous, to be determined. So these are attitude. Aptitude is to have power, to have physical strength, to be resourceful, mm, to have leadership traits. So these are abilities or aptitude. So you see, Krishna is very expertly giving us career counseling, to how to choose our career. Identify your attitude and aptitude. See which profession fits the bill, and then see whether that profession is able to solve a problem and address a need of the society. Then you can happily eat for the rest of your life, and generations down the line also. So this is what I had to say on Krishna's advice on career, choosing a career.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you for that answer.
By the way, did you know what Krishna says? If you chose a career whimsically, based on seeing the trends, अरे वो influencer बन रहा है, वो ये बन रही है, तो मैं भी यार इसमें ज्यादा पैसा मिल रहा है. So what happens if you don't choose a career as per the principles laid down?
Uh, Honestly, Prabhu, that was my follow up. But yes.
अभी देखो ना, मेरे को मार्केटिंग का भी स्किल आ गया आपके साथ मेरे. So Krishna is saying, uh, it is better to perform one's duties according to nature. Let me read the verse for you. Otherwise, you will say I am making up something. Because I am reading your mind. श्रेयान स्वधर्मो विगुणान परधर्मात् स्वनुष्ठितात् स्वभाव नियतम कर्म कुर्वान नाप्नोति किल्बिषम. It is better to perform one's duties according to one's nature, which are inferior to another's duties which are superior. Doing your own duties according to your nature, you do not incur sin. Right? It is better to perform your duties which from the social context may be considered to be inferior. कि अरे बाबा, वो तो इन्फ्लुएंसर है, वो तो आईएएस है, तो इसके लिए मैं भी चाणक्य आईएएस अकेडमी ज्वाइन करता हूँ. मतलब इट हैपेंड विद माय फ्रेंड. मींस ऑल ऑफ अस वी वर टेलिंग हिम, भाई किसी एंगल से नहीं दिख रहा है, ना एटीट्यूड दिख रहा है, ना एप्टीट्यूड दिख रहा है. तू और एडमिनिस्ट्रेटर बन के क्या होगा देश का, राइट? और तेरा क्या होगा? बट देन नहीं यार, आईएएस का क्या रुआब होता है, व्हाट पावर द आईएएस हैज. मतलब सब सुनते हैं उसकी. मुझे बनने का है. उसने 2 साल सब कुछ अपना जॉब वॉब सब छोड़ के ट्राई मारा. उसके बाद में ही एज एन इंजीनियर he switched into IAS. Then he could not go back to engineering, so then he went into banking. Yeah. So and recently I met him and he said, बहुत stress है life. Why? Because he doesn't fit banking, he doesn't fit, and he didn't fit IAS. He never spent time to understand where does he fit. And now he will continue to be a banker, and I hope he will not listen to this podcast, but still I'll privately talk to him. But yes, that happens. Krishna is saying, therefore, don't compare with others. Each one has been blessed with a very unique, specific talent. As Albert Einstein said, that each and every individual in this world has got some special talent. But if a fish judges its greatness by its ability to climb a tree, it will die thinking it is foolish. क्योंकि मछली जल की रानी है, जीवन उसका पानी है, तो पानी है तो पानी में रहो यार, एक्सेल इन वाटर, डोंट fly in the skies. Okay, so yeah, this is what the the consequences.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you for answering this so nicely, even answering the follow-up before I could ask. Thank you, Prabhu. The second question will be fired by Gopinath. Gopinath, all yours. Go ahead.
Yes, bro. Thank you. So just to expose Rasikraman Prabhu's lies before we move on to the next question about his story about being a failure, I must this should go on record. Rasikraman Prabhu was not only the gold medalist for all 4 years of his engineering, but he also cleared the gate, which is perhaps an extremely difficult examination to get into the Indian Institute of Technology, Bombay, into a very competitive master's MTech. So that must be mentioned. And on that note, Prabhu, I must tell you that recently I visited your alma mater for.
Don't worry, I have to give the answer. Huh? So
Okay, Prabhu. So recently I visited your alma mater, IIT Bombay, for a conference by the Indian Institute of New Economic Thinking.
Okay.
And over there was this Harvard professor who spoke to us for 1.5 hours about how economics should not be a value neutral science, in that the way we trade, for example, kidneys should not be the same as to how we trade apples, but we see that the same system of prices is governing both. And he was talking about values and ethics and spiritual principles to us. And on that note, and that Harvard professor is, I think, advisor to so many think tanks and so many government organizations. So we see that despite the concerted efforts and endeavors of the leaders of society, of the supposedly very intelligent people of society, to alleviate its problems, we see that the problems are just becoming more serious. So is there a particular answer or a particular reason why this is happening, Prabhu? Thank you.
Thank you, Gopinath, our eminent economist, and yeah, and Harvard professors will be coming to hear Gopinath Prabhu in the near future. I'm very
Yes,
sure.
yes. Perhaps that was the
Perhaps
dream
they're
I was
already
dreaming.
coming, right?
I was dreaming that up, Prabhu.
But yes, he's the smartest kid on the block. So, Prabhu, the way you put it up, mm, and the way economics should not be, yeah, you said value neutral. So we should not trade kidneys the same way we trade apples. The same principles or same factors should not be governing. If you are trading apples, you are just looking for making some profits. But when you're doing selling kidneys, it is actually playing with life of an individual, right? Giving or taking away life. So if the same greed which governs trading of apples governs the trading of kidneys, God knows, right? What and actually these things are happening. But now, even despite having so many thinkers and intellectuals and conscientious um, uh, people, in still we find that the problems in the society are not abating at this, and all the more actually increasing. Solutions are becoming more serious problems. So the answer is, when the human society creates its own systems um, whimsically, not giving deference to the systems created by God, to the systems created by given in the scriptures, then and abusing and considering the systems created by God as orthodox and abusive, the solutions actually end up becoming bigger problems. And the next generation comes not to solve the original problem, but to solve the bigger problem which the previous generation thought was a solution, right? And we are seeing all of that in our present lives. Like uh, there was a time when overpopulation was considered a problem. We have to solve overpopulation. So for solving overpopulation, what was done? That they artificially kind of family planning and so many other things, they tried to stop childbirth and other things. But then eventually now so many countries in the world now they are talking of giving incentives for the couples to have children, because now they are having underpopulation, and that is a greater problem in the world today, in the societies today. And now because there's no native population, they have to source manpower from the other countries. And then if people come from other countries, they bring in their culture, and they bring in their own ways of living, and which end up being an intrusion, end up being a disruption, and to the native culture, right? So problem was overpopulation, solution was family planning. Now the bigger problem is hmm, uh, underpopulation, right? India is budding with youth, and therefore India has got so much economic advantage. So is population a problem? No, sir. But yeah. So similarly, then it was thought that we need to when land was seen as simply as a resource, and food lack of food was considered a problem, and to solve that problem excess of fertilizers and pesticides was used, right? Now to increase food, different steps was taken to create green revolution, but now the food itself has become a problem. The doctors are saying that the toxic chemicals that are part of our food chain are 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 the cause of so many diseases, cancers, and heart diseases, and so many other diseases are being caused because of the food that we eat. So in order to solve the food problem, green revolution was created, and then food itself became a problem, right? So therefore when humanity tries to solve a problem, not in deference but in rebellion to the plan and the instruction of God, it creates greater problems. And Krishna has given this axiom. Uh, like, trust me, I am not making it up. Krishna has said this to Arjuna. Mm. And through Arjuna, he is telling the entire humanity. I'll read this verse. Verse number 58, 18th chapter. Mच्चित्ता सर्वदुर्गानि मत्प्रसादा तरिष्यसि अथ चेत्त्वम् अहङ्कारन्न श्रोष्यसि विनङ्क्ष्यसि. Fixing your consciousness on me, you will cross over all obstacles by my mercy. If you follow Krishna's plan, God's instruction, God's system, you will cross over all obstacles, all problems will be solved chutki bajake by my mercy. But if, on the other hand, you do not listen out of pride and arrogance, vinangshasi, you will perish. And through Arjuna, Krishna is telling the whole human race. Then next verse he says, यद अहंकारम आश्रित्य न योत्स्य इति मन्यसे मिथ्यैष व्यवसायस्ते प्रकृतिस्त्वाम नियोक्ष्यति. If influenced by false ego, you think I will not fight, that resolve is useless. My prakriti will engage you in fighting. Means he's telling Arjuna, if you think that okay, I'll choose a more nobler profession of being a beggar and not engage in this ghastly warfare. Krishna is saying, no, Baba, you cannot get rid of your nature. You have to act as per your nature, and that nature has been awarded to you in this life based on your past karma, and you can't go against your nature. You can't go against your nature. You can't go against the injunctions of the Shastras, right? Um, so, and if you choose to be a beggar and go into the forest, but you have the nature of a Kshatriya sitting inside you, कल को किसी ने भिक्षा देने से मना किया तो दूं क्या, एक जानता नहीं कौन हूं मैं, because that nature is sitting inside. If you don't engage it religiously, it will come out irreligiously, right? If you don't engage in it humbly, then it will come out with pride and ego. Yes. So and that's the problem of the society today. We are trying to concoct our own systems. Yes, it's very good to look at problems. It takes a mindset of empathy to understand the problems of the society. So we should give full marks to these thinkers, to the think tanks, for identifying the problems of the society. So full marks to the Harvard professor who has identified the problem of um, value neutral economy. Yes, but unless they realize that there's a solution, if the solution is concocted by a speculative mind, then that solution is going to be a bigger problem which your next generation Harvard professor will have to scratch their heads to solve. Yes. And the society will keep on paying the researchers of these professors who are just creating bigger problems for the society. Yes. So we definitely respect their intention, but then let's see what happens if that intention is not fortified or supported by the right understanding. Mhm. So United Nations without God in the center, removing God's injunctions and removing God. When you talk of United Nations, we have created divided nations. The flags are always increasing, Prabhupada says, isn't it? So we set off on the path of United Nations, we came up with divided nations. We talk of environment protection. Environment protection, but nowhere do we talk of who created this environment, who has given us this earth. No talk of that, just environment protection. Then all of this rubbish talk of environment protection becomes ultimately becomes neighborhood pollution. मेरे देश में कोई pollution नहीं होना चाहिए, right? So there are big vessels who carry tons and tons, millions and tons of tons of waste from of electronic waste, hazardous chemical wastes from these first world nations, from the developed countries, and they dump it into the oceans or they dump it into the third world countries. So the scrap markets in India or Africa or in Bangladesh, they have to deal with all of that biohazardous waste, right? So what is the talk of environment protection? It's just neighborhood pollution. The environment in my city should be good. The environment in my country should be good. To hell with other part of the planet, but everything goes in a circle. What goes around comes around. So do you agree with me? Environment protection without talk of who is the husband of Mother Earth, that will not solve the problem. Human rights without God. Everyone is talking of rights, right of expression, right to freedom. Rishabh as a lawyer dealing with a lot of those. Everyone is talking of rights only, right? No one understands their duty. Then we are fighting with each other because one's right becomes a infringement to others' rights, right? So that human rights have become human depravity. मैं चाहे ये करूं, मैं चाहे वो करूं, मैं चाहे ये कहूं, मैं चाहे वो कहूं. So I have a right to do anything and be irresponsible. That has become human depravity. Equal rights. It's a noble thought to have equal rights, but it is leading to dirtier fights. in the name of reservation, in the name of so many other things. We are fighting at the end of the day. The idea, the thought is noble. But then, because we are not including God in the picture, this is bound to lead to dirtier fights, not equal rights. Women liberation without God hmm, is just a program for women exploitation, right? There was a term coined, torchlights of freedom. The tobacco companies in the 1920s, they had experienced a saturation in the sales of tobacco. They said we have to, because there are so many competitors in the market, there is limit to how much sales we can have. But then um, Edward Bernays, who was an economist and actually a nephew of Sigmund Freud, this is a very influential family. So he came up with this idea of lifestyle marketing, that you don't market the product based on the content. You market the product based on um, the you know um, the the glamour around it. Yes, you create a, that's called lifestyle marketing. So he said that 50% of the population is still untapped. We are not selling cigars to the women. Now, how do we get women into the picture? They said equate, because trending is women's equality, liberation. So they equated women's liberation with cigarette smoking. Means as woman will be liberated when she is smoking. So torch lights of freedom. Were they really interested in women's liberation or women's exploitation? Right. So women liberation without God is women exploitation. Animal rights without God is is pets, pet pampering and social menacing. Right? We are just bothered about some of the animals who are our pets, but are we really bothered about the animals which people regularly consume on their dining table? Don't they understand? Don't they appreciate that these poor animals are also like the pets? Right? So there's no animal rights. It is pet pampering. And even in the name of pet pampering, even if stray dogs create menace and kill innocent people, eat up innocent children, there is so much litigation about it, which is common sense. A human life is more precious, right? When you can shoo cows out of the cities hmm, without thinking of animal rights, so now fighting discrimination in humans, now there's discrimination among animals also. So then you have protection without God is all about arms race. There's so much arms race. Every country wants security and protection, but security without God is arms, has ended up into arms race. Government without God is vote bank politics. Justice without God is shifting exploitation, right? So the capitalists, they exploited the laborers. Then the communists, they got their justice means to exploit the capitalists, right? Or men exploited women, so now women have to exploit men to. So that's not justice. But then when justice is without God, then it is synonymous with revenge, right? Which has no end. Um, and social reforms without God is social corruption. So therefore, that's the reason we are not able to solve the problems of the society, because Krishna himself, the absolute truth, has spoken this, and you cannot defy it, you cannot deny it. Krishna is saying that if you follow Krishna's plan, all obstacles will evaporate. But if not, out of ego, if you want to create your own plan, even out of good intentions, it is bound to fail. Yes. So let us all, we have been trying so many things as a modern human society. Why not try this out? Why not try this out also? Yeah, maybe there's a solution here. Would you recommend it, Gopinath, to your Harvard professor?
Yes, Prabhu. It reminds me of a very quick joke. Once a engineer like Surya Prabhu, an accountant like Jaikishan Prabhu, and economist like me apply for a job. So the interviewer asks all three of them, "What is 2 plus 2?" The engineer, very straightforward, he replies, "2 plus 2 is 4." And the accountant is asked the same question, "What is 2 plus 2?" And since he's a CA, he says, 2 plus 2 is 4, but plus minus 10% idhar udhar chalega. That I'll adjust in my accounts. And then that same question, 2 plus 2, was asked to the economist. The economist gets very close to the interviewer and whispers, "What do you want it to equal to?" So I think your answer was very poignant, Prabhu. And the next question will be asked by Surya Prabhu.
Do I
Thank
have a
you,
chance
Gopinath.
also? I can also ask a question. Okay, I'll ask you later. Thank you, Gopinath bro, for that wonderful humor joke.
Thank you. Prabhu, while you were explaining the problems we face in the current day world, and although the leaders, out of right intentions, are trying to solve these problems or find a better solution to the previous solution somebody else offered, but all through this, people are living in fear, and whether it be the women or the animals or the marginalized community, they are living in fear. And you mentioned about United Nations, and that was formed briefly after the World War. And war war period is such a time when everybody is in fear. The aggressor is attacking because of fear and insecurity, and the victim is always living in fear. So solutions are coming and they are evolving and they're evolving again, and we don't have a concrete solution. Until then, everybody is living in fear. So how does one overcome this fear, though?
How does one overcome fear? It's a very important question. It is said in the Bhagavatam that human society is characterized by fear and hard work. Unnecessary hard work, more than what is required, and fear. Passionate hard work and fear. These are two characteristics of the human society. So, how does one overcome fear? Because no one is comfortable with fear. If you ask anyone, do you want to live in fear? No. Even everyone wants to live carefree and fearless. But you look at a bird, it will peck a grain and then look left, right, peck another. If it had the option, it would just like to be fearless and have its fill happily. But then there is fear, and humans are no different. We have different ways of uh, scanning our surroundings than birds. We may have CCTV cameras and other advanced technologies or security mechanisms, but then there's still the principle of fear governs us, and we are not comfortable with it, isn't it? So this is a noble, question and a worthy problem to solve. Yeah, everyone would benefit from it. So the first question we need to ask is that can you think of things you were fearful of 10 years ago, but you are not fearful of now? Say maybe you were fearful of your class teacher. I was fearful of my maths teacher. And really, I would shudder at the thought of being beaten, because he was probably the only teacher who beat me up in my entire schooling career. So, and I couldn't just take it. How can someone beat me and slap me for no good reason? But then ever since I got the, I won't reveal all the details, but since then I entire year went in fear only. When will this standard 8 get over? So fear. But now I don't care, right? Even I would be happy to go and meet that sir. Maybe you taught me a few lessons in life. So there were things 10 years back which we were fearful of, um, but now we are not fearful of them anymore, isn't it? Which means fear is temporary and fear is induced. Fear is not intrinsic, it is induced. Fear is not something which is coming from inside out, it is something which is coming from outside in. Yes. Then, secondly, out of those things which you were fearful 10 years ago, now there are things you have overcome those fears. Some people may have stage fear, stage fright, but then you realize अबे अभी तो नहीं है मुझे वो stage fright. धड़ल्ले से जाके you can give a speech, but at one point of time you would have sleepless night. अरे भाई कल मुझे वो न्यूज़ बोलना है स्कूल में, right? न्यूज़ रीडिंग करना है, मतलब देख के पढ़ना है, उसमें भी you are fearful. But now it's no longer, which means that fear can be overcome. Yes, so first it is temporary, it is not intrinsic, but it is induced, and then it can be overcome. And then you are, and then you may ask, but now there are, like, you are talking of 10 years back, but currently I have a I have things in my life which are fearful of, which I am fearful of very badly. What do I do about that? Ask yourself a question. Do you have someone in your surroundings who is not fearful for the same things you are fearful of? Yeah. And whatever your nature of fear is, uh, maybe fear of career, fear of relationships, or or fear of looks, whatever. But you will have people around you who are not fearful of the same thing, which means that you can also let go, right? It's, if it is possible for them, it is possible for you also, even in the present. So this is just a mental exercise to help us not let the clouds of fear eclipse the sun of our life, right? Can you can a 1 rupee coin cover the sun? Yes and no. No, because the sun is, billions of kilometers, but the coin is just a couple of centimeters. But if I put the coin on my eyes, it can technically cover the sun for me. Like subjective, not objectively, but subjectively. Yes. So similarly, when we make the clouds of fear or the coin of fear too close to our eyes, it can cover the sun of reality. Yes. So that's the first thought experiment which we did, to be able to see fear for what it is, and not blow it out of proportions. Then um, then there are different ways in by which we can overcome fear. Mhm. First is we can make physical, practical arrangements, right? For example, if you have fear of thieves, you can have an alarm system, you can have CCTV cameras, you can have a security guard. So these are practical external solutions. Physical problem, physical solution, done with the fear, right? That is one level of solving the problem of fear. You have fear of disease, you take a vaccination. The physical level of fear, physical level of solution, right? That does it. No problem with it. um, you have fear of finances. Yeah, then you can solve it by getting a good job and paid nicely, right? So physical problem, physical solution. Then there are mental level of solution for fears. Hmm. That is also possible by actually, let's say, many times people गम को गलत करने के लिए शाम को कुछ खूब मिलेगा रंग, जब मिल बैठेंगे तीन यार, आप में और जो भी है, राइट? सो एट द मेंटल लेवल, जस्ट टू numb your mind and to numb your consciousness, उसमें during that period of time you will forget the fear, then you will be the most fearless person of the world. But it's not because your mindset has changed, it's just because your mind has become numbed to that reality. And then again the fear will grip, and that actually increases your um, uh, fear over a period of time, right? So at the mental level you could have different solutions, or maybe have affirmations, tell yourself again and again, I can do it, I can do it, I can do it. So there are different levels. At mental level you can solve the problem of fear. At the physical level you can solve. At intellectual level you can break down the problem. Okay, see the problem for what it is, right? um, that okay, I am fearful for my future. I'm fearful about this relationship. So is this the only person in my life? Hmm? There are so many. So intellectually breaking things down, and then you get a perspective. So intellectually you can also solve problems of fear. But then deeper than the physical, mental, intellectual is the soul. How about solving the problem of fear at the spiritual level, at the level of the soul, which is the most deepest and the intrinsic level? And that is the level at which Krishna is solving the problem of fear of Arjuna. Arjuna began in the Gita, the first scene of Gita shows Arjuna in fear, in anxiety, in depression, isn't it? But then towards the end, 18.73, Arjuna is saying, Nashtamoho smritir labdhva त्वत्प्रसादात् मयाच्युत गतोस्मि स्थितोस्मि गत संदेह करिष्य वचनम तव. नष्ट मोह, मोह चला गया, illusion gone. स्मृतिर लब्ध्वा, my memory is revived, right? So when your illusion is gone, uh, gata sandeha, your confusions are gone, your anxieties are gone. So how did Arjuna come through this journey of fearfulness to fearlessness? Because Krishna revealed the spiritual identity, the Sambandha Gyan, right? So that is a very subtle and sublime way of overcoming fear. Bhagavatam says, Bhayam Dvitiya Abhiniveshata Syad Ishad Apetasya Viparyayo Smriti. Bhay, the cause of fear is having um, an artificial or alien identity, having an artificial or alien environment superimposed upon ourselves, right? And when you come to your natural habitat or natural identity, you let go of all fear. Yeah. Agar, if I say that you say, you suppose you decide to go on a long drive, hmm, and then you have gone on a long drive, and now it's time for you to come back at 7 o'clock in the evening, and suddenly there is a snag in your car engine, and it comes to a halt, and you try to open the bonnet and see, but you cannot make any sense of it. And then it's getting dark, it's getting late, and there is no signal. You can't call anyone, and you don't see any any passerby around. You don't see any shop, any human face around. And then it's getting darker and darker. It's 8 o'clock, and then you start hearing sounds of from the wild, of the jackals. Then you hear some slithering sounds from the bushes nearby, and you wonder what's coming next. And you see the bats flying all around. Hmm? And then there is, from a far away place, there's a sound of the lion. Hmm? Uh, the lion trying to, of the lion's roar, thunderous roar. And then after some time, you hear a tap of someone's shoes. Tap, 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 coming closer to you, closer and closer. The sound is increasing. Now there's a lot of uncertainty, lot of anxiety and fear. Any direction, any sound comes, you turn around in that direction as if anything can happen, right? So aren't we all experiencing a horror and fear? Yes, isn't it? Why? Because we are in an alien environment. We are in an alien artificial situation, right? Now, if you if someone shook you up and you realize it was just a dream, I had just made up this uh, plan in my dream that I'm going for a long drive and I'm stuck up in this place. Suddenly you realize nothing exists, like nothing of this was just a superimposition on my mind that I was in such a situation, and then this ghastly ghost was coming to attack me, whose boots were tapping. So immediately all your fear is evaporated. So Krishna is saying, Sarvadharman parityajya mamekam sharanam vraja aham tam sarva papebhyo moksha ishyami ma sucha. Ma sucha, do not fear, Arjuna. Why fear when Krishna is here? Awaken to your true identity, right? Give up this alien identification with the material body and designations. The fear is because of losing our identity. Krishna is saying the identity which you are holding on to doesn't belong to you. Giving it up is fearlessness. When you identify with the true ego is being a servant of Krishna, and as a servant of Krishna, doing whatever Krishna wants you to do, which means Ma Mekam Sharanam Vraja, then there is no fear. And this is what Bhagavad Gita does: make a fearful, anxious Arjuna into a fearless, uh, powerful warrior Arjuna. And this can happen for all of us by Krishna's grace. Yes,
Thank you
Surya
for
Prabhu.
that. Just by listening to that, I got so relieved. And, I can only imagine if I practice that into my spiritual life, how much fearless I could be. Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you very much. And towards the final question, I would just pass it on to the person who asked the first question of this podcast, to Jai Kishan Prabhu.
Krishna.
Thank you, Surya Prabhu, and thank you, Rasikaman Prabhu, for dispelling our fear on all our listeners, all our viewers today, and whoever will watch the recorded session. From the first session to the final session, if anyone, I'm sure, if anyone been through the whole journey or even a part of it, I'm sure their fear or their insecurity, to a very great extent, even if not fully, will be dispelled. Uh, that is undoubtedly the power of the Gita. And Rashidram, to you too. Of course, you will not accept it, but you have to, as Gopinath too beautifully exposed your lives. Uh, so yes, Prabhu. Thank you for this. Thank you for taking us on this journey. And as we all humans, we all, at least me, we think, इसके बाद क्या? What next? First standard तो हो गया, इसके बाद क्या? Second, इसके बाद क्या? What next? What next awaits me? So you've taken us through this beautiful journey. What next, Prabhu? What next? I mean, of course, what next after learning this message of the Gita?
So the answer to your question has two. Your question has two responses basically. One response is a philosophical response. Another response is a practical, logistical response. So we have it. First, I would like to congratulate each and every one of us who are on this journey of 1 year yagya of the Gita. Actually, we started in the March of 2023, and we are at the end of February 2024. So it has taken a good 1 long year for us to circumambulate the Bhagavad Gita. जैसे गोवर्धन परिक्रमा करते हैं, you start and you circumambulate the entire sacred form of Giriraj Govardhan, and and people are offering obeisances and doing parikrama of Govardhan. So this reading of the Gita, this discussion on the Gita is like a parikrama of the Bhagavad Gita. And and just as on the Govardhan, there are so many holy places where you sit and take darshan or chant some rounds. So we have come across some very, very fascinating verses in the Gita. Right? Every inch of Govardhan is holy, it's Krishna. But there are some places like Kusum Sarovar, Manasi Ganga, Radha Kund, Sham Kund, which are so special. Right? So similarly, there have been through the entire journey, each and every verse, each and every portion of a verse is so sanctifying, purifying, and endearing. But then Krishna has blessed us with some very, very special verses. From the beginning, the first verse, even the verse of chastisement, which Krishna gives to Arjuna. He says that that you're talking like a learned person. What is that?
Anarya.
Anaryam Jishnam Aswargyam Akirtim Karma Arjuna. That verse, although it's a verse of chastisement, but it actually reveals so much about the personality of Krishna, that he is not someone he's not an indifferent, oblivious God. He is an involved, loving God. He will not leave you to rot to your for your actions or your choices. He is someone who is going to intervene in your life, right? So right from the beginning, we have come across so many beautiful verses, whether in the first chapter or in the second chapter. Dehinosmin yatha dehi dhirastatra na muhyati. So these are verses which have actually enlightened our life with so much of knowledge and perspective. And what to speak of Sarva Dharman Parityajya, or Man Mana Bhav Mad Bhakto, or Patram Pushpam Phalam Toyam. So these are all holy places where we should sit to meditate, reflect, introspect, and let these verses seep into our lives. Yeah. So 1 year of Gita Parikrama, now that it is complete, Jai Kishan is asking what next? My answer is do one more. Do one more Gita Parikrama. Why? Because now, again, trust me, I am not making it up. We are taking it from Gita only. What Krishna is saying. Let's see. 18.64. Let's read this verse. So 18.63, what has Krishna told Arjuna? Yathechasi tatha kuru. Krishna is saying that itite jnanam akyatam guhyat guhyataram maya vimrishyaitat asheshena yathechasi tatha kuru. So in one sense, Krishna has told that I have given you guhyam guhyataram maya. That ज्ञानम आख्यातम, I have spoken the knowledge to you. तो मतलब गीता हो गया. उसके बाद में कृष्णा क्या बोल रहे हैं? अभी विमृश्यते श्रैतद. Now you think about it and यथेच्छसि तथा कुरु and do as you deem fit. वहां पे गीता खत्म हो गया क्या 18.63 में? नहीं ना. उसके बाद तो कृष्णा ने मन मना भव मद भक्तो सर्वधर्मान परित्यज्य उसके बाद बोला है, राइट? ऐसा कैसे? 18.63 तो कंप्लीट हो गया था. So Krishna is telling us that एक बार में गीता समझ में नहीं आएगी. और अर्जुन को पूरा सुना दिया, उसके बाद में भी बोला अभी तुमको जो है समझ में आया वैसा करो। कृष्ण बोले रुको, एक बार फिर से तुमको बताता हूँ। सो ही गेव अ शॉर्ट समरी इन 3 verses, अ क्रैश कोर्स। सो बिकॉज एक बार में कृष्णा को भी पता है अर्जुन को भी समझ नहीं आएगा, तो हम लोग को क्या समझ में आएगा, राइट? सो वी हैव टू गो थ्रू इट ओवर एंड ओवर अगेन। देन अनदर थिंग इज, look at the verse 1872. Abhi, after giving Sarvadharman Parityajya, after speaking the glories of this knowledge of Gita from 1867 to 71, even after speaking all the glories of the knowledge, सब कुछ conclude कर दिया, उसके बाद भी देखो 72 में कृष्णा क्या बोलते हैं। कृष्णा says, कच्चिद एतत् श्रुतं पार्थ त्वयैकाग्रेण चेतसा कच्चिद अज्ञान सम्मोह प्रणस्तस्ते धनंजय। ओ पृथा, ओ सन ऑफ पृथा, ओ पार्था, हैव यू हर्ड दिस नॉलेज विथ क्लोज अटेंशन? अरे ध्यान से सुना कि नहीं? ऐसा तो नहीं कुछ मिस आउट कर दिया? ओके, हैव योर इग्नोरेंस एंड bewilderment बीन destroyed? So acharyas are telling us, why is Krishna asking this question? Krishna is saying, have you heard with attention? If Arjuna says no no, मैं पूरा नहीं सुन पाया, कुछ मेरा डिस्ट्रैक्शन हो गया, चलो कोई बात नहीं, रुक बैठ, फिर से सुनाता हूँ। और if then Krishna is also asking, has your ignorance and bewilderment been destroyed? अच्छा तुमने अटेंशन से सुना है लेकिन तुम्हारे को क्लैरिटी नहीं आया अभी तक, कॉन्सेप्ट पूरा क्लियर नहीं है, तो कोई बात नहीं, फिर से आई एम रेडी टू स्पीक इट अगेन। So if Krishna is, it didn't happen just once. 64, actually 63 पे कृष्णा ने ब्रेक लगा दिया, राइट? उसके बाद में बोला रुको रुको रुको, फिर से मैं गुह्यम गुह्यतरम माया कहने के बाद भी वापस से रिवर्स गियर में लेके एक बार फिर से कृष्णा gave him a snapshot summary. And even after that Krishna is again asking, attention से सुना ना? नहीं सुना तो वापस बोलता हूँ। अटेंशन से सुनने के बाद भी अगर कुछ समझ नहीं आया तो फिर से, when Krishna is for his first and ace disciple, if he feels that even Arjuna might need to hear it again, then we are out of question. We must hear it again. So first thing is, what should we do now? Read it again, study it again. Now the next parikrama begins. And then okay, read it, then what? No, not just read, reflect on it, because what did Krishna tell Arjuna? Vimrishyaitat, that Arjuna, I have spoken the Gita, but have you understood? And you should understand to a level till which your agyan and sammoha, your ignorance and illusion is dissipated. So for that we need to do contemplation on reflect on the verses of the Gita. So filter number 1, read it again, then reflect on what you have read. And then third is what Krishna says further, actually, where he says that the most who is the dearmost person to me? The dearmost person to me is someone who has understood this knowledge and shares this knowledge with others. So Krishna doesn't want you to just understand, I read Gita. No, not just read. Did you understand it? Did you reflect on it? Oh, yes, I read, I reflected, now I understood. No, that's not enough. Krishna is asking, did you share it with someone? Go and share it with someone, then you will become dear to me. Right? So read, reflect, and reach out. Or study, serve, and share. Study the Gita and serve, basically apply the Gita in our daily life and then share it with others. So this is Krishna's advice to all of us. Not my advice, Krishna's advice. What should we do now, having completed our 1 year long parikrama of the Bhagavad Gita? How do you feel?
read, reflect, and reach out. Yes, that's a great takeaway, bro. Uh, and it feels really nostalgic. And I remember our first conversations on this topic in the Brahmachari Ashram at Chowpatty Temple, and how you shared your views and having a Gita session in a podcast format. And it feels great, Prabhu, to be a part of this journey. And I feel blessed to uh, do whatever little service I could to be in being part of this journey. While uh, we all know you are the brain behind it, and it's all a product of your intense study over all these years. And thank you, Prabhu. It's been an honor to do whatever little service I could.
Thank you so much, Jai Kishan Prabhu. Thank you so much, Surya Prabhu. Thank you so much, Gopinath Prabhu. Thank you so much, everyone, each and everyone who has been part of this podcast. As I said in the beginning, who has attended the whole podcast, half of it, or one session or half a session of it. So we are very grateful for each and every one of you, because the podcast exists because of all of you, right? And all of us together have been part of this yagya. And and then, as Krishna says, um, let me read out one verse. You know, अध्येष्यते च य इमां धर्म्यं संवादमावयोः ज्ञानयज्ञेन तेनाहम् इष्टस्याम् इति मे मति. 70th verse. It is my conviction, Krishna's conviction, that he who studies this sacred conversation between us two will have worshipped me through intelligence, all the sacrifice of knowledge, jnana yajnana. So actually, all of us together have been part of a yagya, jnana yagya, in Krishna's, and Krishna is saying it is my conviction. So Krishna is convinced that each and every one of us has been part of this yagya and has worshipped Krishna. So we have worshipped Krishna by subjecting ourselves to this beautiful conversation, and it is Bhagavad Gita is full of meaning, it is full of instructions, it is full of wisdom, and it is full of emotions. The way Arjuna uses different names for Krishna in different situations, there are different emotions attached. The way sometimes Krishna speaks to Arjuna like a friend speaks to another friend. Just the way he chastised Arjuna, he was chastising Arjuna, you know, like a friend can do, right? Sometimes Krishna will take the role of a teacher, right, and instruct Arjuna. Sometimes Krishna takes the role of a parent and says, Yoga Kshemam Vahamyam, the way parents do, ki I'll provide you what you lack and I will carry what you have. Sometimes Krishna spoke to Arjuna as a lover, that that oh my dear Arjuna, bhakto si mein, you have devotion unto me, right? So therefore I'm speaking this to you. So all the range of emotions are manifested in the Bhagavad Gita. So it is the greatest gift that we have. Krishna, who says Krishna doesn't speak to us? Krishna is speaking to us every day, and we can speak to Krishna by chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra. We can speak to Krishna, and we can hear Krishna speaking to us by reading the Bhagavad Gita. So it's the greatest treasure that we have, which we can lifelong cherish and share with the world. So very, very grateful to everyone. If anyone would like to share any reflections or thoughts from the audience, you are free to do so at this point of time before we close.
I'd like to share some words of gratitude, bro. Coming to this podcast changed my perspective towards Gita. Gita was a Vedic text. Before it was just a Vedic text. You have to study it in a certain way, uh, traditional way, and I was looking at Gita in that sense, and you changed my vision towards Gita uh, totally, bro. It was a 180-degree change, and and I could see each and everything which you speak. I can connect that to my day-to-day life, and that was the gap which I was struggling with, how to apply Gita in my personal life. And you made it so easy, Prabhu, and the words, I am short of words, but you can understand my emotion, and you took us around this parikrama of Gita. You held our hand and you made us understand the complex of topics which many generations of acharyas and uh, saints all in this holy land have tried to explain, and you just explained it to us in a simple way. And no words of gratitude can be enough, Prabhu. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Surya Prabhu, for for actually being so regular, consistent, and um, presenting questions in a way by which my appetite for answering them would increase. So thank you so much. So thank you all very much, and this is not the end of it. So all of us have to, go back, read, reflect, and reach out, or study, serve, and share this message. And also, we will announce in the coming future, uh, more courses. Like I'm planning a course, a diploma in the Bhagavad Gita. We are looking for tying up with Mumbai University for a diploma in Bhagavad Gita, where Gita, its philosophy and life applications. So we are trying for that. And then I'm also planning a course on Srimad Bhagavatam and its applications. So we'll roll it out in our WhatsApp group. We will share details, but there will be a short gap for some time. But then we will be back with more offerings very soon. By the way, we are also planning to come out with a book on the Bhagavad Gita, in which all that we have discussed will be put up as a bouquet. And so, looking forward to your prayers so that we can come out with this. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna. Shrimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai. Shrimad Bhagavad ki jai. Sai Gaur Premanandi.
Very